Extreme Rules, Newark, New Jersey, not far from my stomping ground. Was this a good show? To be honest, not that good. It felt like a Raw show with some extra stuff thrown in. And that's not 100% good. It wasn't a bad show, but it felt like a Raw show. That's just me. Maybe it's because, as I've said before, I had been a bit depressed, so I might not be seeing this properly. But I do believe I might be right on the quality, because I do believe the quality in general was about the same as a Raw. And I feel like it's not a very good thing. But hear my point of view, and you guys tell me below what you felt. The kickoff show. The Dudleys in New Jersey. I don't know why Devon said what he said, and he said it clearly. We don't need to be on the main show because we're beyond extreme. Are you serious? The WWE did not, in hindsight, they probably thought they were trying to warm the crowd up. But to be honest, that was not warming the crowd up. That was a letdown. To hear them say that they are beyond extreme on the freaking kickoff show was stupid. Did they warm up the crowd before that? They did a little bit. It wasn't that hype of a crowd, but it wasn't bad. But what they said, it should have been put on the main show. I'm saying this truthfully. That should have been put on the main show. It would make better sense for them to say, we don't need a match on this show because we're well beyond anybody here. They got to be up to our standards. That would have made more sense. But doing it on the freaking kickoff show was dumb. Now, did Kaz sound alright? Big Kaz. Yeah. He sounded good. He's getting better. Did he do well? Not that bad, but this felt like it was meant for Enzo and Big Kaz directly. And that's what it kind of felt like. It felt like it was really meant for Enzo and Kaz, and with Enzo not there, it felt a little empty. Now the next thing, which I don't get. You give Baron Corbin the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. He doesn't really talk much. He really needs a promo. At least one or two. Unless I missed it, I've never seen him do a promo. He needs to do at least one. And I might be right about this because I do believe Morgan Hyde, who's a big fan of him. How you doing, Morgan? Sarah? Hope everything's alright. But I feel that this is wrong. Baron Corbin should be doing something on the main show and not with Dolph. And the way they do 50-50 booking, and I agree with the Lex Man, they do not book these people properly. And Baron Corbin, what did he gain by beating Dolph on the kickoff show? Nothing. And they're going to probably have another match this Raw. And probably if they don't have a match, Dolph is going to beat the crap out of him. This needs to be over, and I don't believe it is, and I feel sorry for Baron. Now, let's move on to the main show. And I'm not going in order. I'm doing the Asylum match between Chris and Dean Ambrose. This is a glorified lockdown match from TNA. Lethal Lockdown. Do I believe it's bad? No. I do believe by the time this match happened, the crowd was kind of dead. Because when you see most of what happened beforehand, I think the crowd kind of got a little burnt out. Kind of shot up their wad earlier. So it took some time for them to build up into this. By the end, they were interested. Particularly when the thumbtacks came out and they saw the thumbtacks and they were interested. Well, seeing Dean do nunchucks might have been a little more interesting for them. But I do believe that in general, it was when the thumbtacks came out. And for me personally, I felt like before they did it was a little long. I mean, it took them a while before they finally did the thumbtacks. And then the crowd kind of cooled down a little bit. Not until the code breaker failed did it finally work. And I'll take my hat off to Chris Jericho. For him to job like this, This is not what Chris normally does. He doesn't do matches where there are any type of deadly weapons. He doesn't. So he really wanted to put Dean Ambrose over, and to a certain extent he did. And my compliments to Chris. He got his ass cut up pretty good on his right arm. He got some big thumbtacks in there, as you can see from the picture. Maybe I'll blow it up in my face. I don't know, but whichever, either small or large, his arm was pretty bloody by the end of it. Now, New Day versus the Vaudevillains. Here's the problem I have with this. Was the Vaudevillains okay in their match? Was English and, what was it, I can't remember the other guy's name, but I remember English's name. I'm getting there. I have a tendency to have problems remembering guys' names. But the match wasn't the issue here. The segment beforehand, I loved it. This is where the fans and the crowd loved New Day. This is the loudest pop I heard for the entire night. One of the loudest. I take that back. Not the loudest. One of the loudest. Here's the problem. Now what? If they keep throwing people at New Day that's not been built up, Enzo and Kaz look like they would have been the best people to have the banter between New Day. And there's no Enzo. So now the only option they have is just let the guys talk. Not do matches. But if they start throwing them with matches upon matches upon matches and not talk, we're going to have a problem with New Day. But I do believe they're going to just let them talk and have some fun in the ring. And that would be the best option right now. Because they're the most over team they got. They are way over. There's no one else more over than them. Now, the Fatal 4-Way match. I didn't have a problem with the match in general. I just felt like it was wrong to have the match with these people. It should have been either The Miz versus Cesaro or Kevin Owens versus Cesaro. I know a lot of people like Sami Zayn, but I just don't feel like Sami Zayn is right in this situation. If it was Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn for the title, and I know Slick Daddy doesn't really want to see these guys, I understand. But I see them for the first time. I understand his point of view because he's seen them for years. Me, I've never seen them before until now. I didn't watch ROH. But the problem I have is this. These guys have a story by themselves. And halfway through the match, you could see they were trying to focus on those two only. And by the end of the match, they focused on them. And I felt like this was not the right venue for these two. If you're going to do Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, it has to be for a title now. Because we've already gone through the point where these guys have faced each other and they have animosity. So, me personally, between Kevin Owens and Cesaro, I felt like Cesaro is the perfect person to get the title right now. That's the person I believe is the best to do this. Because he's so over. But they kept the Miz with it. Do I feel alright with that? Honestly, no. I really believe they should have pulled the trigger with Cesaro. But that's just my point of view. Charlotte versus Natalya. I say it before and I say it again. Between both women, they're both beautiful women. But I kind of lean towards Natalya because she is physically very beautiful. Between the two, who has the most talent? I really kind of feel like Charlotte's a little more fresher than Natalya, because Natalya really has been built that well, and she has been. She just feels more fresher to me. Match quality between the two, Natalya and her are on par, and I haven't seen them do a bad match. But I do believe that in this situation, they've run out of steam between Natalya and Charlotte. Because now you have to inject Dana Brooks into this. Not going to stand the reason why. Because you can't do anything Dana Brooks and Emma. Emma is injured. She's out. She's now having surgery. You got to have Dana Brooks do something. And it makes some sense. But because you now interjected Dana Brooks into this, it kind of cut the steam between Natalya getting a new title. Because Pretty much, Byron Saxton said it clearly in the best. She's been there or was it JBL? She's been there 5 years. I mean, she's been there longer than 5 years. And she hasn't had a title in 5 years. My mistake. I think she's been there at least 8 or 9 years. At least 8 or 7. Well, how many years? I think she came in during the Hart Dynasty. So that was around 2009, 2010. So she's been there 6 or 7 years. I take that back. I say 6 or 7 years. And to be honest, to kind of emphasize that was the wisest thing to do. But now it kind of feels like they kind of lost some steam. Doesn't mean they can't recover from it, but it just feels like they lost some steam because now they're interjecting Dana Brooks. Or Dana Brooks. I can't pronounce it improperly. That's just me. Kalisto versus Rusev. Here's my problem. Kalisto hasn't really done much. And Rusev, with the lads in League of Nations, really hasn't done much either. Even though people really like Kalisto, they want a new Rey Mysterio. I just don't see anything really good for Kalisto. Took a big bump though, hurting his back. Looked bad on the ring apron. It did. But here's the problem I have entirely for the entire situation. You give Rusev back the title. But does that mean he's better for it? Honestly, I don't believe he is. Shouldn't he be doing the IC title run? Going after the IC title, that's the next thing before going to world title. He goes right back to square one. The first thing comes out, he goes for the US Championship with Lana. Does great, but then they lose total steam, particularly after John Cena, who's coming back, I believe, this weekend. Or next week, I can't remember. And then he's dropped. And now he goes right back to square one, which I believe is really sad. I mean, it was a good segment seeing him bending Kalisto back. And Kalisto's tapping, but I just don't see anything good. Now, the final thing. Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles. Now, if you see my title, you can see the reason why I used it. AJ's out. Seth is in. I kind of feel sorry. No, I don't kind of feel sorry. I feel very sorry for AJ Styles. Because, what now for AJ? Because AJ's not going to continue working with Roman Reigns unless he's going to have to face a Seth Rollins. Seth may have to go through an AJ Styles before he goes to a Roman Reigns. I could be wrong, but I really do believe AJ's getting the short end of the stick. And I know the Slug Daddy doesn't really feel like AJ is really worth it a lot. I know he does think AJ has ability. And in their match, AJ did great. And so did Roman Reigns. Roman did very well, but I do believe trying to fake a knee injury was a bit much to try and win a little sympathy with the crowd. I don't believe they didn't win over with that knee injury. They were trying to emphasize, oh no, he's hurt, his knee's hurt. But it didn't work. Doesn't mean the crowd didn't still cheer for Roman Reigns, but the crowd really wants AJ. Now, do I believe AJ's better than most of the roster? He's more seasoned than most of the roster. He is. He's a much better wrestler than most of the roster. He is very polished because he worked in TNA, ROH, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's one of the better talkers. But the WWE will not go with him. I just don't see them doing it. And the crowd wants him because he's a Daniel Bryan 2.0. Just like Kalisto is a Rey Mysterio 2.0, this is a Daniel Bryan 2.0 who is more seasoned, who is more over. And I'm going to say this again. I'm sorry again. I know there are Daniel Bryan fans who really believe he's the best wrestler. He's not. I believe AJ Styles is a better wrestler than Daniel Bryan. Taking nothing away from Daniel, or I mean taking anything away from Bryan Danielson, AJ Styles is just better. It's the truth. He's a better wrestler that talks way better than him, who's way more polished. And I believe that's what the crowd really wants. And if we're lucky, maybe he'll get it one day. Maybe. But to be honest, I just don't see it. Not right now. Right now it's going to be Seth Rollins against Roman Reigns. And the problem I see is the same thing with AJ Styles. Everyone is going to want Seth Rollins. And the WWE is going to do everything they can to make sure that he is the Cena 2.0. Talking about Roman Reigns. And I'm not saying Roman isn't a bad character with a bad gimmick. But that's what they want. And the crowd hates it. And now Seth Rollins is going to be fed to the Cena 2.0. Unless I'm wrong and they're actually going to go with Seth, I see Cena 2.0 eating Seth Rollins by SummerSlam. I just see it. I don't think it's going to be for Money in the Bank. It's going to be SummerSlam. But this is just my point of view. You guys tell me below. And I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. Please give me a comment below. I will get my Raw review, my TNA review, and I might do a booking wrestler, but I don't know. There's some stuff I got to do in this week. But have a good day and have a good night. Peace!